Hello everyone, my name is David. Today we are going to take a look at another horrible case with you. In December 2020, Mamta Kafle and Naresh Bhatt got married in the city of Kavre, Nepal. Although the wedding was held with all the traditional Nepali customs, only very close friends and family members from both sides were invited. It wasn't a grand wedding, but all the rituals, music, dancing, and food were carried out in a very calm and peaceful manner, which both families thoroughly enjoyed. After getting married, the couple stayed in Nepal for 6 months, but then in July 2021, they moved to the USA. Naresh already had a house in the US, so the couple lived there together. The main reason they decided to move was because Naresh worked in the US. For Mamta, this was the first time she had ever been to a country outside of Nepal and India, so she knew nothing about the lifestyle there. Because of that, it was very difficult for Mamta to adjust in the US, and it took her quite a while. But slowly, as time passed, Mamta started liking the country, and she made many friends there. She first completed her nursing course and finished her training, after which she also got a job at a local hospital. Mamta was now following her passion in the US and supporting her husband as well. Time was flying by for Mamta and Naresh in America, and just like that, 2 years had passed since their wedding. But Mamta and Naresh's love story had actually started in India. After Mamta finished her schooling in Nepal, her parents decided to send her to India's IT hub, Bengaluru, so she could pursue her nursing studies there. After arriving in Bengaluru, Mamta decided to study nursing at Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences. While studying in Bengaluru, Mamta met a boy through mutual friends, and that boy was Naresh Bhatt. Like Mamta, Naresh Bhatt was also from Nepal, but he had been living in the United States since June 2017 due to his job. His family, however, still lived in Nepal. Naresh's father, Lalmani Bhatt, ran a pharmacy in Kanchanpur, Nepal, and his mother was a housewife. By the time Mamta had finished college, Naresh was already well settled in life and was 30 years old. He also had a regular job. He was serving in the US military as an automated logistics specialist. Despite working in the military, Naresh was a very quiet and introverted person, and he didn't talk to many people. Even after working for years in the US military, he had very few friends. But both Naresh Bhatt and Mamta Kafle were from Nepal, and since they shared a similar background and culture, they quickly became friends in college. Slowly, as time passed, their friendship turned into love, and their relationship was going really well. The most notable thing about their relationship, however, was that there was a 9-year age gap between them. Even so, Mamta's family agreed to their marriage. Mamta's family actually believed that Naresh would keep their daughter happy and provide her with a stable life. Besides, Mamta also wanted to marry Naresh, which is why the two of them got married in Nepal. Their married life was going quite well, but the happiest moment in their lives came when Mamta gave birth to a baby girl on August 28, 2023. The couple named their daughter Nima. Nima's birth was one of the happiest moments of Mamta's life, and with Nima's arrival, Naresh also began to feel very happy. To celebrate Nima's arrival, Naresh bought a big house in Manassas Park, Virginia, which had 5 rooms. After buying such a big house, the small family of 3 had moved into it. Since becoming a mother, Mamta Kafle's priorities had gradually started to change. She spent most of her time with her daughter. She shared many photos and videos of herself and her daughter on TikTok and Facebook. In those photos and videos, Mamta looked very happy with Nima and could be seen playing with her. After moving to Manassas Park, Mamta also started working as a pediatric nurse at UVA Health, Prince William Medical Center. Actually, a pediatric nurse, also known as a children's nurse, is a healthcare professional specializing in the care of neonates and children up to adolescence, providing medical care and support to young patients and their families. This job was much better than Mamta's previous one, and she really enjoyed this work because caring for others was a natural part of her personality. That's why even after becoming a mother, Mamta Kafle was able to balance both her job and family really well. Mamta's behavior was so gentle that she would quickly bond even with strangers. Because of this, her friends often worried that someone might take advantage of her kindness. On the other hand, Naresh was completely the opposite of his wife, Mamta Kafle. He was a very gloomy type of person with an introverted personality and didn't talk much to others. But thanks to Mamta's cheerful nature, people around them always saw their family in a positive light. Anyone who saw this family together would say that they were a sweet and complete family. However, everything took a turn when, just a few months after Nima's birth and before the start of 2024, Naresh lost his job and became unemployed. This was a huge shock for the family. From then on, all the financial responsibilities fell on Mamta's shoulders to keep the household running. After Naresh Bhatt lost his job, he found it very difficult to manage everything. As a result, there was a noticeable shift in Mamta Kafle's personality. Her daily routine and even her behavior started changing rapidly. Mamta's friends had noticed that her behavior had changed significantly. However, they never asked her about it and always tried to make her feel comfortable. But after that, Mamta was last seen at the hospital on July 27, 2024. But Mamta had made her last phone call to her close friend Nadia Navarro just the very next day, on July the 28th, 2024. In fact, Nadia and Mamta were such close friends that Mamta used to share everything with her. That's why Nadia believed that Mamta had called her that day to tell her something. But for some reason, Mamta couldn't speak to Nadia that day. However, later that same day, Mamta posted a final video on TikTok featuring herself and her daughter Nima. After that day, no one knew anything about Mamta. It had been 24 hours since Mamta Kafle had gone missing, but even then, her husband Naresh Bhatt hadn't told anyone about it, nor had he filed a missing person report with the police. On the other hand, Mamta's co-workers started getting very worried, because she hadn't been to the hospital for many days. That's why, on August 1st, 2024, Mamta's co-workers went to the police station and filed a missing person report. The very next day, on August 2nd, 2024, after the report was filed, police went to Naresh Bhatt's house to conduct a welfare check. That's when the police asked Naresh about Mamta's disappearance, and Naresh Bhatt told them, "My wife Mamta may have gone to visit her sister in Texas or New York, and she is not missing."
We're looking for Miss Mamta Kafle.
Yeah, she like on Tuesday, Wednesday, she left and then she says she's gonna go either New York or Texas, and then she left, she had the phone and then she destroyed that phone and then she left.
Naresh also told the police that Mamta staying away from home for a long time wasn't something new, and that she had done this several times before. That was why I hadn't filed a missing report. He also told the police that the two of them were planning to get a divorce very soon.
Yeah, because we are about to separate and then the home inspection come here I'm about to sell the home.
After hearing all this from Naresh, the police didn't take any further action at that time and left. Now, when a married couple reaches the point of divorce, the reasons behind it are usually very serious. This was the first time it came to light that this happy-looking couple was heading toward divorce. Everyone was shocked to hear this, because the two of them were seen as a dream couple in everyone's eyes. Anyway, after the welfare check on August 2nd, the date of August 4th, 2024 arrives, and this time Naresh himself contacts the police. He tells them that Mamta still hasn't returned home, and that it's now been more than 7 days since she disappeared, and he is starting to get really worried. In reality, although Naresh had told the police that Mamta had left home many times before after arguments, she would usually return within a day or two. But this time a whole week had passed and there was no trace of Mamta. After this missing report was officially filed, the police, taking Naresh's concern into account, decided to expand their investigation further to find Mamta. But the Manassas police first began by questioning Naresh, and during the interrogation, Naresh told them that some of Mamta's clothes, her passport, and her green card were also missing from the house.
A lot of she got the green card already, and then she was about to, yeah.
This was quite shocking because, after hearing all this, the police started wondering if Mamta had left the US for another country. However, up until now, Naresh had told investigators that he last saw Mamta on July 29, 2024. In addition, during the welfare check on August 2nd, he claimed that Mamta had gone to visit her sister in New York or Texas. But the truth was that even the police had stopped believing Naresh's statements because they were noticing contradictions in what he was saying. For example, in an interview with a news channel, Naresh said that he had dinner with Mamta on July 31st.
When was the last time you saw her?
A Wednesday in the evening. She was working on the kitchen, after eating dishes and then stuff like that. I just went upstairs with my baby.
But he told investigators that he last saw Mamta on July 29th. In addition, according to a news report, Mamta's entire family lived in Nepal. So once again, Naresh's statement during the welfare check, where he said Mamta might have gone to visit her sister in New York or Texas, turned out to be false. Because of all these reasons, the police's suspicion of Naresh began to grow steadily. But then one day, Naresh posted about his wife being missing on Facebook. In the post, he requested people to inform either the police or him directly if they had any information. Now, as we mentioned earlier, despite being new to the US, Mamta had quickly become quite popular in her neighborhood because of her sweet nature. She had also made a lot of good friends at work and was always willing to help anyone. That's why, now that Mamta had been missing for several days, many people in the city had organized various community searches to find her. In these community searches, citizens of the city formed different groups and searched for Mamta in every corner. But the surprising thing was that, despite these large-scale, ongoing search efforts, Naresh Bhatt was not seen participating even once. This in itself was quite shocking, because while hundreds of strangers were trying to find Mamta Kafle, her own husband, Naresh Bhatt, wasn't making any effort to look for her. Meanwhile, the police were digging deeper into Naresh Bhatt's background. Along with that, they were also checking all of Naresh's recent activities. During this process, the police reviewed CCTV footage from around Naresh's home and various locations throughout the city. Coincidentally, one of these CCTV videos made the police's suspicion of Naresh even stronger. While reviewing footage from around the city, one of the videos showed Naresh Bhatt entering a Walmart store on July 30th. When police looked at the Walmart footage in detail, Naresh was seen buying 3 different knives. In addition, the next day, July 31st, he purchased some cleaning supplies from a different Walmart. The police investigation was still ongoing, but during this time, Mamta Kafle and Naresh Bhatt's daughter Nima's birthday was also approaching. But before that, the police found yet another piece of evidence against Naresh. Naresh had told police that before leaving the house, Mamta had destroyed her phone. But when the police investigated this claim, they found that Mamta's last known location was in Loudoun County. Then, when they checked Naresh's location on the same day, coincidentally, he was also in that same area. In the middle of all this, August 20th, 2024, arrived the day of his daughter Nima's birthday. Since it was Nima's first birthday, Naresh hosted a small birthday party for her at their home. At this birthday party, Naresh had invited all his neighbors, a few family friends, and even some of Mamta's friends. Now, this surprised quite a few people because his wife had been missing for almost 3 weeks, and yet he was still throwing a party. But at the same time, in the eyes of some, Naresh was playing the role of a good father because this birthday was Nima's first. At this birthday party, all of Naresh's neighbors and Nima's friends showed their love and support for her. In addition, they brought all sorts of different gifts just to make Nima happy. Almost everyone at the party, including Nima, seemed happy, but Naresh was doing something quite strange during the event. In fact, throughout the entire party, Naresh didn't let any neighbors or friends take photos of Nima or his house, even though on such occasions people usually love taking pictures with the birthday girl or boy. Naresh's reasoning was that photos would compromise his home's privacy. While everyone already knew that Naresh didn't talk much with others, this behavior brought him under scrutiny because using that as a reason on a birthday just didn't seem genuine. Anyway, the birthday party wrapped up smoothly and everyone left after offering their support to Naresh. But the very next day, on August 21st, Naresh's neighbors noticed police do not cross lines and crime scene tape around his house. At that time, the police were conducting a thorough investigation inside Naresh's home, which lasted all day and into the night. By then, the news had already reached the media, and several news channel reporters had gathered outside Naresh's house that night. Because of this, Manassas Park Police Chief Mario Lugo, who was leading the investigation, had to hold a brief press conference. Even though the investigation was still ongoing, Police Chief Mario Lugo only spoke to the media for about a minute, but in that short conference, he shared something very shocking. By that time, the police had already included Naresh in their list of persons of interest. Almost everyone had come to know that Manassas Police's first suspicion was directed at Mamta Kafle's husband, Naresh Bhatt. And those who still had doubts about the police investigation began to believe it when, the very next day, August 22nd, the police arrived at his house with a warrant for his arrest. Shortly after that, the police handcuffed Naresh and placed him in their vehicle, and seeing this left his neighbors stunned. Until now, we had seen that Naresh was being very cooperative with the police. He had been helping with the investigation in every possible way, but when the police came to arrest him on August 22nd, he refused to listen to a single word. This led the police to suspect that Naresh was definitely hiding something. But instead of pushing him further, the police decided to search his house thoroughly first. Initially, Naresh had refused to let the police search his home, but this time they had a warrant both to arrest him and to search the premises. However, what the police found during that search truly shocked everyone. In fact, the police had found some blood splatters in one of the bedrooms of Naresh's house, which were leading towards the bathroom. This led the police to believe that a dead body had been dragged from the bedroom to the bathroom. In addition to this, the investigation also revealed that out of the 3 knives Naresh had purchased from Walmart, 2 were missing. Moreover, a significant amount of the cleaning supplies he had bought from another Walmart had been used in the bathroom and bedroom. Later that afternoon, the Manassas police provided Mamta's spotters with new updates on the case. During this conference, they also stated that they believed Mamta was no longer alive, and hearing this broke everyone's hearts because it was the kind of news no one ever wants to hear. Until now, the police had found no evidence of Mamta's existence, while her husband remained in police custody. As a result, the law granted custody of the child, Nima, to social services. However, during this time, the authorities were trying to arrange an emergency visa for Mamta's parents to come to the US so they could take care of Nima themselves once they arrived. Before his arrest, Naresh was trying hard to gain people's sympathy, wanting everyone to believe that no one was more heartbroken by Mamta's disappearance than he was. That's why, whenever Naresh gave interviews to any news channels, he would always portray himself as the victim. Naresh gave several interviews in which he claimed that Mamta's sudden disappearance was causing him unbearable pain.
You mentioned...
Yeah, I'm the sufferer one. I'm the sufferer. My baby and then myself, we are suffering the most.
But what he didn't know was that the Manassas police were already investigating him. The police worked on this case with full honesty, and as a result, Naresh's horrific reality was exposed to everyone. At that point, the police initially charged Naresh with concealment of a dead body. But a few days later he was brought before the court, and from then on the case continued in court for quite a long time. Eventually, based on all the evidence and witness testimonies, the court charged Naresh on December 2nd, 2024, with 2 serious offenses: first-degree murder and defilement of a dead body. These charges essentially meant that the Manassas Police Department, local authorities, and the court had come to the conclusion that Mamta Kafle was dead and that her husband, Naresh Bhatt, was behind her murder. However, the police had still not recovered Mamta's dead body, which meant she was still being searched for. That's why the police are continuing their investigation into the case. Mamta has now been missing for 8 months, but so far the police have found neither her alive nor her dead. To this day, Naresh has not told his side of the story, but it's important to note that the police had found a large reciprocating saw in Naresh's house, which had traces of blood on it. Later, when the police tested the blood found in the bedroom and bathroom against the blood on the power saw, the DNA matched. Despite all this, to this day, there are still 3 things we don't officially have clarity on. First, whether Mamta was actually murdered or not, or whether Naresh Bhatt is innocent and telling the truth to the police. Second, if Mamta was murdered, was it Naresh who did it, or was someone else involved in the crime? And finally, if Naresh really did kill his wife Mamta, then what was his actual motive for committing the murder, and where did he hide Mamta's body in a way that the police have been unable to find it even after 8 months? However, the next court hearing in this case is scheduled for September 2025, and that may provide us with more information moving forward. We will keep an eye on this case, but until then, we will have to wait, and only then might we get some crucial information related to it. However, whenever there is a new update in this case, we will definitely share it in the community post of the David True Crime channel. But before that hearing, based on some information available on the internet, we can try to determine how and why Naresh might have killed Mamta if he indeed committed the murder. In fact, those who knew Mamta had suspected Naresh from the beginning of the investigation because they knew that Mamta was a very traditional wife and, at the same time, a very good mother. Mamta loved her daughter immensely, which is why she would never leave her behind just like that, especially since her daughter's first birthday was coming up in about 3 weeks, on August 20th. Additionally, Mamta's colleagues told the media that she had been saying for a long time that she wanted to divorce Naresh, but whenever Mamta brought up the topic of divorce with Naresh, he would always come up with some excuse to convince her to stay. Some of Mamta's friends also mentioned that they had occasionally seen bruises on her body. This led them to believe that Mamta was a victim of domestic violence, but her pain was always hidden behind her smiling face. Furthermore, Mamta had joined several support groups for single mothers multiple times to avoid enduring Naresh's domestic violence. All these things indicate that Mamta and Naresh's relationship was nothing like what it appeared to be to the outside world. While they seemed like a happy couple on social media, their real life was far from happy. Amid all this, Mamta's close relatives, some trusted friends and colleagues, were constantly worried about her daughter, Nima, because they had completely lost their trust in Naresh. In addition, in February 2024, Mamta called the police to her home and filed a complaint against Naresh, stating that he was not giving her important documents, such as her green card and passport. But that's not all. There are also more details that might explain Naresh's alleged motive. After losing his job, Naresh became extremely stressed and was deeply in debt at the time. Due to these financial problems, he was always angry and would take out all his frustration on Mamta. In fact, Naresh had to pay a $1,200 monthly installment for his Tesla car and, on top of that, a $6,000 monthly mortgage for their house. It was Naresh's defense lawyer who revealed the details about the Tesla installment and the mortgage in court. Now, how much of this is true and how much is false remains uncertain. However, citing this debt, his defense lawyer claimed that Naresh sold his Tesla on August 19th and even put his house up for sale. During the investigation, the police also discovered that after Mamta's disappearance, Naresh had searched for some bizarre queries on Google, such as what happens to debt when a spouse dies, and how long does it take to get married after a wife's death. All these things indicate that Naresh had planned Mamta's disappearance and murder in a premeditated manner. But if Naresh truly did this, will he ever open his mouth and confess to his crimes in the future? Another question is whether Mamta's dead body will ever be found. The answers to all these questions will only be revealed in the coming days. However, the one who suffered the most in this case is the 1-year-old girl who had only just begun to speak. Her mother, Mamta Kafle, is nowhere to be found, and her father is accused of murdering her. Although Nima is currently with Mamta's parents, her maternal grandparents, they have stated that they will take care of her. But if Naresh really did kill his wife, Mamta, and dismembered her body using a power saw to hide it somewhere, just imagining the agony of Mamta Kafle's final moments sends chills down the spine. So with that, the Mamta Kafle case comes to an end right here. If you appreciate our efforts, like and share this video. If you haven't subscribed, do so now. Thank you. Hello everyone, my name is David. Today we are going to take a look at another horrible case with you. But before we move forward, if you've ever had a horror incident in your life, you can share it with us via the email given in the description box or the pinned comment. Your story might soon be featured on our new channel. The year was 2017. In India's capital, Delhi, there lived a family named Mehra. This family resided in Rohini Sector 15. In this family, 35-year-old Pankaj Mehra lived with his 34-year-old wife, Priya Mehra, and their 2-year-old son. Their child's name was Naish. Pankaj Mehra and Priya Mehra had known each other since their college days. They had been very close friends since then, but over time that friendship gradually turned into love. After completing college, they got married in a love marriage. After their wedding, both of them were very happy, and their joy doubled when Priya gave birth to twin daughters. However, shortly after giving birth, for some reason, both daughters passed away. It was after this tragic loss that Priya gave birth to their son, Naish. One night on October the 24th, 2017, Pankaj called his wife Priya Mehra and asked her to come to his restaurant. Pankaj actually owned a restaurant and had invited Priya there. He also told her that they would have dinner outside that night and then go for a long drive. And after the long drive, they would visit a gurdwara to pay their respects. A gurdwara is a place of worship and gathering in the Sikh religion. The word generally means the place of the Guru or home of Guru. Sikh gurdwaras are also referred to as Gurdwara Sahib. Hearing this plan, Priya Mehra was very happy. After a while, she reached the restaurant with their 2-year-old son. Around 11:30 p.m., they had dinner. After dinner, they got into their Maruti Ritz car and headed out for a long drive. Priya's son was asleep in her lap inside the car while the couple listened to music and chatted. Pankaj drove from 12 a.m. until about 2:30 a.m. After that, they went to Gurudwara Bangla Sahib. Located in Delhi, Gurudwara Bangla Sahib is one of the most prominent Sikh gurdwaras in India. Pankaj and Priya spent an hour there, and then at 4 a.m. on October 25th, 2017, they started heading back home. Pankaj was driving the car while his wife and son were asleep in the vehicle because they hadn't slept all night. At that time, it was 4 a.m., very dark outside, and the area around them was deserted. Their home was now quite close. After a while, near the Hyderpur metro station in Delhi and just before the Rohini prison complex, Pankaj took a U-turn. While making this U-turn, something happened that forced Pankaj to turn his car toward the nearest hospital. On the way to the nearest hospital, Pankaj also called the police at 4:20 a.m. Within a short time, he reached the hospital, which was located at Mukarba Chowk. The hospital was called Saroj Hospital. Pankaj also called their families and informed them about the accident. Hearing the news, both families became extremely worried and reached the hospital shortly afterward. When Pankaj brought Priya to the hospital in an injured state, no doctor came forward to attend to her. The doctors told Pankaj that they couldn't do anything until the police arrived at the hospital. This angered the family members, and they began creating a commotion inside the hospital. After some time, the police also arrived at the hospital, but even after the police reached, no doctor came forward to treat Priya. In fact, there were no doctors available for the night shift. Because of all these reasons, Priya Mehra passed away, and her family was left deeply heartbroken. The police were also present there at that time. In this case, the police had only one witness, and that witness was none other than Pankaj Mehra himself. Afterward, Pankaj Mehra called the media to the hospital as well, and the police then questioned Pankaj to find out more about the incident. Pankaj Mehra told the police that on October 25th, 2017, at 4 a.m., he was returning home with his family from Gurudwara Bangla Sahib, and he was driving the car. His wife and child were sitting in the passenger seat next to him. Pankaj then told the police that while driving, he took a U-turn, and to make that U-turn, he slowed down the car a bit. At that moment, a red-color Maruti Swift car suddenly came speeding from behind, overtook their vehicle, and stopped right in front of them. A man got out of that car and he looked extremely angry. He also had a pistol in his hand and started walking slowly toward their car. When he reached their vehicle, he began trying to open the driver's side door. Seeing all this, Pankaj got very scared. However, Pankaj had locked the driver's side door from inside so the man couldn't open it. Then the man tried to break the car window with his pistol, and after that he punched the window and shattered it. The sound woke up Pankaj Mehra's wife and child. The man then pointed the gun at Pankaj Mehra's forehead, and seeing the weapon, Priya Mehra became extremely frightened. Pankaj tried to resist and grab the man's gun, struggling to take it from him. During the struggle, the man fired a shot, and the bullet hit Priya Mehra in the throat. Then the man fired a second shot, and this one hit Priya on the forehead, near her eye. However, when he tried to fire a third time, the bullet got stuck in the gun. After that, the man also physically fought with Pankaj, and then he fled the scene shortly after. Once the media arrived, the incident became public knowledge.
A 30-year-old woman was shot dead in her car by unknown criminals in Delhi's Shalimar Bagh area, where the victim was traveling along with her husband and her son.
After Priya Mehra's post-mortem, the police learned from the report that bullets had hit her throat and near her eye. Other than those bullet wounds, there were no other injuries found on her body. After hearing about the incident, the police asked Pankaj Mehra if he had any enemies or suspected anyone who might have done this. In response, Pankaj told them that he had initially started a clothing business, but it wasn't very successful, so he decided to open a restaurant. In the beginning, the restaurant business did quite well, but gradually it started going into loss. Eventually, the business was on the verge of collapse, and that's when he had to borrow money from a few moneylenders. In fact, in the neighboring state of Haryana, there's the city of Sonipat, which is known for large-scale bicycle manufacturing. Some moneylenders lived there who used to lend money to anyone at high interest rates. Pankaj somehow came into contact with some moneylenders and borrowed 500,000 rupees from them at a high interest rate. He invested that money into his business, thinking it would generate an equal return. However, even that money couldn't save Pankaj's business, and as a result, he couldn't repay the moneylenders. Because of this, the interest kept increasing, and the total amount rose to 4 million Indian rupees. Now, the moneylenders wanted their money back, but Pankaj was in no position to repay them. The moneylenders started threatening Pankaj, saying they wanted their money back or else they'd take drastic steps. In fact, at the beginning of October 2017, 2 of those moneylenders even showed up at Pankaj's house. Although they didn't find Pankaj at home, they told his family to inform him that he should return the money or things would get ugly. That's why, after Priya's murder, Pankaj's first suspicion was directed toward those moneylenders from whom he had borrowed the money. Additionally, the red Swift car used by the attackers had a Haryana license plate. Pankaj also told the police that the attackers had probably come to kill him, but during the scuffle and struggle for the gun, 2 bullets ended up hitting Priya. He further told the police that a third bullet was also fired, but it got stuck in the gun. Because of all this, Pankaj pointed suspicion at those 3 moneylenders and gave their names to the police. Delhi police then went to Sonipat city in Haryana to search for them. However, it seemed the moneylenders had found out that the man they had lent money to was now being connected to his wife's murder, and the blame was falling on them. In fact, Pankaj was giving all his statements to news channels, and the moneylenders had probably seen those broadcasts. Because of that, despite a thorough search, the police couldn't find any of them. The police even checked how many vehicles with Haryana license plates had passed through the toll plazas between Haryana and Delhi, but they didn't have any success there either. Meanwhile, on the morning of October the 26th, Pankaj got Priya Mehra's post-mortem done, and by afternoon her last rites were completed. But soon after, the investigator handling the case began to question something. If those moneylenders had loaned money to Pankaj, why would they try to kill him? After all, if someone lends money to another person, why would they intentionally harm them? The truth is, if anything were to happen to him, not only would they lose their money, but they'd also face legal consequences. That's why the police believed that while the moneylenders might have come to threaten or intimidate Pankaj, it didn't make sense for them to try to kill him. So the police started to believe that Pankaj might have misunderstood, and that the attackers weren't the moneylenders, but rather some robbers. Between 1 to 4 a.m., the streets are usually prowled by thieves or robbers, so it was a very plausible angle that a gang of robbers may have overtaken Pankai's car and tried to rob them. The police began investigating this angle as well, and their first step was to talk to the staff at Saro Hospital, since they were the first to see Priya's body. However, according to the hospital staff, when Priya was brought in, none of her valuables or cash from her purse were missing. Also, when Pankai brought the car to the hospital, Priya's cell phone and her purse were still inside the vehicle. By now, several teams had been formed by the Delhi police to solve the case. While one team was searching for those moneylenders, another team was assigned the task of reviewing the footage from all CCTV cameras located along the route taken by Pankai and Priya on the morning of October 25th. During this time, one team of police officers took Pankai Mehra to the crime scene where Priya Mehra had been shot. There, the police also spoke to some shopkeepers and local residents along that road. Some of them claimed they had heard gunshots along with the scream of a man, but none had actually witnessed the incident. After this, the police collected footage from all cameras installed in the surrounding area. Around 4 a.m. on the morning of October the 25th, the police began reviewing CCTV footage according to the timeline. Unfortunately, not a single camera was positioned at an angle that captured the crime taking place. Following this, the police decided to recreate the entire crime scene with Pankaj, because recreating a crime can often help in better understanding and solving it. On the morning of October 26th, the police began their investigation with Pankaj starting from Bangla Sahib Gurudwara. During this, the police paid close attention to small details, such as which routes Pankaj took in his car, the speed of his vehicle, and the places he stopped along the way. But even here, the police didn't uncover anything significant. Afterward, the police checked Pankai Mehra's call detail records and also spoke with his and Priya's family members. During these conversations, they learned some things about Pankaj's personal life. For example, Priya's parents revealed that the relationship between the couple wasn't good, and they often argued over small matters. The police then tried to understand what these arguments were about. They were told that Pankai usually closed his restaurant around 12 a.m., but despite that, he often didn't come home at night. During this time, Priya began to suspect that her husband, Pankai, was having an affair with another woman. And this suspicion turned out to be true, as Pankai was indeed having an affair with Aisha, a singer who performed at his restaurant even after getting married. The police confirmed this through Pankai's call detail records, which showed that he would often talk to Aisha for hours. Eventually, Priya also became aware of this, and the arguments between them became more frequent and intense. Over time, these arguments escalated and sometimes even turned into full-blown fights. Despite all this, Priya never openly discussed these matters with anyone, not even her own parents. But when Pankai still didn't change his behavior, Priya once left the house with some of her belongings and went to stay with her parents. Meanwhile, the other police team assigned to recreate the entire crime scene was diligently working on their task. Finally, their efforts paid off. They discovered a CCTV camera that had captured the entire scene of Priya Mehra's murder. This camera was installed at a medical store located a short distance away from the crime scene. Based on the location Pankaj had mentioned, the police requested the footage from around 4 a.m. on October 25th from the shop owner. After receiving it, the Delhi police handed it over to their technical analysis team for a thorough examination. Now, here, the police didn't have to struggle much because the U-turn road was clearly captured in that CCTV camera. Besides that, the police also spotted Pankai Mehra's Maruti Ritz car, and when they started watching every second of that footage closely, they uncovered the truth. In the CCTV footage, it showed that Pankaj was driving his car toward the U-turn. But just before taking the U-turn, he stopped his car right in the middle of the road. The car remained parked there for 1 minute and 40 seconds, around 100 seconds, and after that, Pankai drove the car away from the spot. Although the police watched the footage from before and after that scene dozens of times, no other car appeared in the footage. except Pankaj's. The CCTV footage only showed that Pankaj's Maruti Ritz stood in the middle of the road for a few seconds, and then Pankaj himself drove it away. By now, the police had confirmed that before and after Pankaj's car, no other vehicle passed through that road. However, in his statement, Pankaj claimed that a red-colored car with a Haryana license plate had overtaken his vehicle, but the police had reviewed the CCTV footage multiple times and couldn't find any vehicle overtaking Pankaj's car. The CCTV footage was now revealing a version of events completely opposite to what Pankaj had stated. Now the question was, why did Pankaj stop his car before the U-turn on his own? And why did he give a false statement to the police? To uncover the truth, the Shalimar Bagh police called Pankaj Mehra to the police station on the afternoon of October the 26th. Pankaj believed the police were summoning him for a routine inquiry, and so he reached the station shortly after receiving the call. But the police's very first question to Pankaj was direct. Why did you lie to us? You were the one who stopped your car before the U-turn, not some swift car that overtook you. Still, Pankaj stuck to his story. In fact, Pankaj was trying to convince the police that his car really had been overtaken by a red Swift, and that a man had gotten out of it and shot his wife dead. But this time, the police showed Pankaj a footage they had obtained from a medical store, which showed him stopping his own car on the road. Seeing this, Pankaj Mehra panicked and then crying in front of the police. He confessed that he was the one who murdered his wife, Priya.
Police say he confessed to the crime during sustained interrogation.
After thorough interrogation, that he has killed his wife. We are further verifying those facts according to his confession.
But even after that, the police had one more question for him. Why did he commit such a heinous act against his wife, Priya? What was the reason behind killing her? After being asked this, Pankaj told the police the entire story behind why he killed Priya. Originally, Pankaj had a clothing business, but investing in it turned out to be a major loss for him. After that, Pankaj kept thinking of new ideas and eventually decided to open a coffee cafe or a restaurant. Finally, he found a good location near his house and decided to open a nice restaurant there. But Pankaj didn't have enough money to set up the restaurant, so he asked his in-laws, Priya's parents, for help. Priya's father agreed to give Pankaj the money because he had full faith in him. He also believed that life always gives everyone a second chance, and Pankaj would get one too. But Pankaj's bad luck continued, and even that business didn't run properly. From the beginning, there were very few customers. To increase the number of regular and repeat customers at their restaurant, Priya gave Pankaj a suggestion. She told him that they should provide live music for their customers and hire a singer for it. This would completely change the vibe of the restaurant and give customers a new kind of experience along with their food. Pankaj really liked Priya's idea, and he began searching for a singer who could perform live songs. During this time, Pankaj came across a female singer named Aisha. Aisha was also struggling in her own life, so her fee wasn't very high. This made her a good fit for Pankaj's restaurant budget. But even Aisha couldn't save Pankaj's sinking business, and despite the live singing, the customer base barely grew. Soon, Pankaj started running out of money, and to keep his business afloat, he borrowed 500,000 Indian rupees from 3 people who lived in Sonipat, a city in the neighboring state of Haryana. But Pankaj had taken this money from people who lend at high interest rates for a limited time. In US dollars, this amount was approximately $5,850, which means, even here, Pankaj had taken a big risk where he had to return the 500,000 rupees in a short amount of time, or else the interest would skyrocket as time passed. Holding on to one last hope in his heart, Pankaj invested that 500,000 rupees into his business. Time passed, but the returns on Pankaj's investment were extremely low. As a result, the interest on the 500,000 rupees loan had climbed up to 4 million rupees, so essentially the $5,850 that Pankaj had borrowed had now ballooned to about $46,750. Over time, the moneylenders also began asking for their money back. Pankaj kept telling them that he would repay their money slowly and that they shouldn't worry. But eventually, those men even came to Pankaj's house and caused a scene. At this point, Pankaj was completely buried under debt. But amidst all of this, he began having an affair with Ayesha, the singer who performed at his restaurant. What's shocking is that by this time, Pankaj Mehra already had a son. His career was in decline. Both of his businesses had failed, and he was under pressure to repay his debts. Yet, putting all of that aside, the Pankaj began an extramarital affair with Ayesha. With this, according to Priya's parents, he had already had around 6 girlfriends. Now, technically, if Pankaj had wanted to, he could have divorced Priya and married someone else. But he didn't. The reason Pankaj couldn't do that was because Priya's parents had supported him financially during his tough times. So, if Pankaj had tried to divorce Priya, he would have had to repay the 400,000 rupees he had borrowed from her parents, and at that point, Pankaj was in no condition to return that money. That's when a sinister idea crossed his mind. If Priya was out of the way, he could finally live his life freely. He started thinking about when and how he could kill Priya. That's when the idea came to him. He would kill Priya late at night in the car under the pretense of a long drive, and then put the blame for her murder entirely on the moneylenders. Actually, everyone knew that the moneylenders were threatening Pankaj and his family, which is why, in everyone's eyes, the moneylenders would be considered guilty. If Pankaj had successfully murdered Priya, he wouldn't have had to repay the money he borrowed for Priya's parents. In other words, Pankaj wanted to hit 3 targets with 1 arrow. With this plan, his wife would be out of his way, and he could be with Ayesha whenever he wanted. The second benefit for Pankaj was that after Priya's death, he wouldn't have to repay her family, and if he succeeded with this plan, he would also get rid of those moneylenders. After this, Pankaj Mehra began plotting the complete conspiracy to murder his wife, Priya Mehra. Once Pankaj had made the full plan for the murder, the first thing he did was buy a pistol from a friend named Monu. After that, Pankaj scouted several places around his house, looking for a location without any CCTV cameras. During this search, Pankaj noticed the U-turn road near Hyderpur metro station, and he was already quite familiar with that route. Then Pankaj Mehra also set the timing for Priya's murder. What happened after that you already know, like Pankaj taking Priya on a long drive and then visiting the Gurdwara. After that, he created a fake story of the murder, claiming that a red Swift car overtook them, and one of the men got out and started firing at them with a pistol. But the only part of Pankaj's statement that was true was that, at the time, his wife, Priya, and their son were asleep in the car. Taking advantage of that moment, Pankaj pulled out the pistol and shot his wife twice, then broke his own car's window. To make his story seem more real, Pankaj added the element that the third bullet jammed inside the attacker's gun. So, from the beginning, the only lie in Pankaj's story to the police was that someone else had shot Priya, when in reality it was all done by him. Anyway, after hearing all of this, the police officially arrested Pankaj, and the case was wrapped up within just 36 hours. After that, the police presented Pankaj in district court and took him into judicial custody. Then the police started properly documenting his statements and gathering evidence. However, the most crucial piece of evidence was the pistol Pankaj had used to murder Priya. During interrogation, Pankaj told the police that he had thrown the pistol away on the way. The police searched thoroughly at the location Pankaj mentioned, but to this day that pistol has never been found. Still, to identify others involved and collect more evidence, the police assigned 11 different teams to the case. One of those police teams managed to catch Monu, the person who helped Pankaj get the pistol. Another police team also found Aisha, the singer who used to perform at Pankaj's restaurant, and presented her in court. It was then revealed that Pankaj and Aisha were genuinely in love and wanted to get married, but the court hearing also made it clear that Aisha had no idea Pankaj would go as far as to murder his wife, Priya Mehra, for her. Because of his debts and extramarital affair, Pankaj Mehra destroyed both Priya's life and his own, and along with that, he also took away a lot of happiness from the life of his 2-year-old son, who at that time couldn't even speak properly. But what's even more shocking is that when the child's mother was murdered, he was the only eyewitness to her murder, and he was just 2 years old. As of now, Priya's son lives with his maternal grandparents and uncle-aunt. They all still take very good care of him. But Priya's parents still want the harshest punishment possible for their daughter's killer, either the death penalty or life imprisonment. So if there's any new update in this case in the future, we'll definitely share it with you through a community post on the David True Crime channel. So with that, the Priya Mehra murder case comes to an end right here. If you appreciate our efforts, like and share this video. If you haven't subscribed, do so now. Thank you. Hello everyone, my name is David. Today we are going to take a look at another horrible case with you. The date was December 4th, 2024, and in the bustling capital of India, Delhi, a small family of a retired army officer lived in the Neb Sarai locality. Delhi is often called the city that never sleeps because people here work day and night, either to fulfill their dreams or to provide 3 proper meals for their families. One such big dream was that of retired army officer Rajesh Kumar's son Arjun, who wanted to become a professional boxer. Apart from him, his sister Kavita also lived in the house, and both siblings were still pursuing their college education. On December 4th, 2024, 51-year-old retired Army officer Rajesh Kumar and his 46-year-old wife Komal were celebrating their wedding anniversary. However, Arjun had a habit of waking up at 5 a.m. every day and undergoing an hour to an hour and a half of intense training at the gym after a morning walk. So, on December 4th, he woke up at 5 a.m. as usual. First, he went to the kitchen to drink some water, then headed to the bathroom to brush his teeth. After that, he packed his gym bag and, before leaving the house, went to his parents' bedroom to wish them a happy wedding anniversary. Around 5:30 a.m., he left for the gym on foot. As part of his routine, Arjun jogged to the gym first and then trained there. Once his gym session was complete, he returned home at around 6:45 a.m. As he opened the door and stepped inside, he let out a loud scream and rushed back outside. He then began crying uncontrollably, and his screams and sobs drew the attention of his neighbors, who gathered around him. When they asked what had happened, he, still in tears, told them that he had just returned from the gym and found the blood-soaked bodies of his parents and sister. Hearing this, the neighbors were shocked, as dawn was just breaking and the sun was about to rise. Seeing the 3 dead bodies, everyone wondered who could have committed such a gruesome act in the early morning light. One of the neighbors immediately called the police, and the officer who received the call was equally stunned upon hearing about the triple murder. However, upon learning of the crime, the police sprang into action and arrived at the crime scene within minutes. At first glance, the police suspected that the killer had murdered Rajesh Kumar, his wife Komal, and their daughter Kavita while they were asleep, as all their bodies were found lying on their respective beds. Looking at the scene, the officers believed that Arjun had unknowingly escaped death simply because he had left for the gym early. Otherwise, he too might have been killed. The police then sealed off the house with crime scene tape and began their investigation. However, before the Neb Sarai police could even call forensic experts to the crime scene, they realized that nothing valuable was missing from the house. Everything was in its place. This confirmed that no robbery had taken place, which was a shocking revelation for the police. But now the question was, who committed these 3 murders? To find out, the police interrogated some neighbors and Arjun himself. The police asked the neighbors if they had seen anyone enter the house that morning. However, most of Arjun's neighbors were still asleep at that time, and those who had woken up early said they had not seen any stranger enter the house with their own eyes. Additionally, the police asked Arjun some personal questions, such as what time they had gone to bed last night and what time Arjun had left for the gym in the morning. In response, Arjun told the police that his father had been in the army, so they all had instilled the habit of sleeping early from the very beginning. Because of that, they had all gone to bed early the previous night after dinner. Moreover, Arjun had to wake up early for the gym, so he had also gone to bed early and left for the gym at 5:30 a.m. However, Arjun also told the police that before leaving the house, he had seen his parents alive and had wished them a happy wedding anniversary. Hearing this, the police were even more shocked because Arjun had left home for the gym at 5:30 a.m. and returned by 6:45 a.m. after completing his session. The surprising part was that there was only a 1 hour and 15-minute gap during this time period. In such a short span, someone had entered the house, murdered all 3 family members while they were sleeping, and escaped without anyone noticing. To clear all doubts, the police decided to check all the CCTV cameras installed around Rajesh Kumar's house. Coincidentally, some of the neighbors' cameras were angled toward Rajesh Kumar's house, clearly showing the main gate. The police first reviewed the footage from these cameras. From this, they learned that from 10 p.m. on December 3rd to 6:45 a.m. on December 4th, no stranger had entered or exited the house. The only person seen leaving was Arjun at 5:30 a.m. for the gym, and he returned home at 6:45 a.m. After watching the CCTV footage, the police realized that 4 people were inside the house during the incident. 3 were now dead, and the only person who had gone out was alive. This made the police highly suspicious of Arjun, making them believe he was the one who had killed his parents and sister. However, they also knew that accusing Arjun of such a serious crime based solely on CCTV footage would not be justified. Moreover, if they arrested him too quickly in such an emotionally charged situation, his neighbors and relatives could retaliate against the police. So they decided to be patient and started gathering more concrete evidence, along with the CCTV footage. During this process, the police discreetly questioned Rajesh Kumar's neighbors and some relatives about Arjun's relationship with his family. Through this inquiry, they learned that Arjun was not a bad person, but his parents, especially his father, used to scold him frequently. The reason behind this was Arjun's lack of interest in academics. Due to this, Rajesh Kumar had even beaten him on several occasions. Kavita, on the other hand, had always been academically gifted, while Arjun was more inclined towards sports than studies. It is often observed that most girls excel in academics, whereas boys tend to take a greater interest in sports. Since childhood, Arjun had only one passion: to become a professional boxer one day. He worked hard toward this goal, and as a result, he won 2 to 3 silver medals at the state level during his high school and even college years. In fact, it was because of boxing that he secured admission to Delhi University through the sports quota. However, as a father and an army officer, Rajesh Kumar wanted Arjun to take his studies seriously like his sister. Being a retired army officer, Rajesh Kumar wanted Arjun to join the army as well. He often told him that if he didn't want to be in the army, he should focus on his studies and secure a good job. But Rajesh Kumar never supported his son's boxing aspirations. Rajesh Kumar was a brave Indian officer who had even served as a commando in the Special Protection Group, SPG, for some time. The SPG is India's elite security force responsible solely for protecting the Prime Minister and, in some cases, their family. Since the Prime Minister is the most important person in the country, SPG commandos undergo rigorous training and only a select few qualify to join this armed force. However, in the final months of 2017, Rajesh Kumar retired from the Indian Army. Since childhood, he had always motivated both of his children, his elder daughter, Kavita, and his younger son, Arjun, to focus on their studies. After his retirement, Rajesh Kumar devoted his full attention to Arjun, as he was now completely free from duty. However, there was a stark difference between Arjun and his sister. While Kavita always scored high in her exams, Arjun remained focused on sports, even in school. But as time passed and Arjun grew older, he started noticing that neither of his parents ever scolded his sister. The reason behind this was that Kavita never gave them a reason to, as she completed every task without complaints. Over time, Arjun grew up in this environment, but his father's attitude toward him never changed. After learning all these details, the police decided to interrogate Arjun, as CCTV footage clearly showed that no one except him had entered their house on the night between December 3rd and 4. On the evening of December 4th, the Neb Sarai police took Arjun to the police station and began questioning him. However, they didn't have to push too hard. Arjun soon started narrating his own story. But if you have a weak heart, you may want to stop watching this video here, because what Arjun revealed during the interrogation was a story that would shake any parent to their core. Arjun revealed that he and his older sister had a 3-year age gap. At the time of the triple murder, Arjun was 20 years old and his sister was 23. Since childhood, Kavita had been very sincere and excelled in her studies, which led their parents to love her more. On the other hand, Arjun, who didn't focus on academics, spent more time with friends and prioritized boxing, was often scolded by his parents. As he grew up in this environment, he always felt that his parents loved his sister more than him. Apart from this, since the final days of school, Arjun had been interested in boxing, but his father, Rajesh Kumar, believed that boxing didn't have much scope in their country. That's why he wanted Arjun to focus on his studies, join the army like him, or secure a good job. However, Arjun refused to follow his father's wishes, which often led to him getting scolded and at times even beaten by his father. Yes, even at the age of 20, Arjun's father would raise his hand against him on multiple occasions, though everything was still running normally. But then came December 2nd, 2024. This day was special because it was the 23rd birthday of Arjun's sister, Kavita. Since Kavita was the beloved daughter of her parents, Rajesh Kumar had invited almost all their relatives who lived nearby to the celebration. He even invited all their neighbors. Additionally, a musical program was arranged at home, and a large cake was ordered for Kavita's birthday. Everyone who attended the party brought gifts for her. One by one, they all wished Kavita a happy birthday and presented her with beautiful gifts. But amid the celebration, a gloomy Arjun was silently noticing how much love and attention everyone was showering upon his sister. Meanwhile, Rajesh Kumar had assigned Arjun a task, but Arjun didn't complete it properly. As a result, even on his sister's birthday, Arjun was scolded by his father, and this time Rajesh Kumar went so far as to slap him in front of some relatives. This incident hurt Arjun deeply, making him feel that his father was being unfair to him. He had already begun to feel jealous of his sister because all the attention at the party was focused on Kavita. Frustrated, Arjun left the party midway and went to his room, where he sat in a corner and cried. But the most terrifying thought had yet to enter his mind. The slap he received from his father in front of relatives wounded Arjun so much that, on the night of December 2nd, he decided he would kill his father. The very idea is terrifying. How could a son even think of murdering the father who once held his hand to teach him how to walk and always looked after his well-being? But after such a horrifying thought, how could anyone sleep? Lying on his bed, Arjun kept thinking about when and how he would kill his father. However, at that moment, another thought struck him. If he killed only his father, his mother would inevitably grow to hate him. Even his own family and relatives would cut all ties with him. So he made up his mind to kill his mother as well. Now, he was determined to commit not one but 2 murders. But the question still remained. When would he do it? After thinking for a while, he finalized the date, December 4th. He chose the night between December 3rd and 4th to kill his parents. But why did Arjun specifically choose December 4th? There was a reason behind that as well. On December 4th, Rajesh Kumar and his wife Komal were celebrating their wedding anniversary. Arjun believed that since his parents had caused him so much trouble, he should end their lives on the same date they got married. A deranged killer planning to murder his parents on his sister's birthday had chosen their wedding anniversary for the act. Then came December 3rd, 2024. That morning, Arjun woke up early and followed his usual routine. He even had breakfast with his parents and behaved normally with his sister, just as he did every day. No one had the slightest clue about the horrifying thoughts running through his mind. Throughout December 3rd, Arjun kept thinking about the best way to kill his parents. However, he was also aware that his father had served in the Indian Army for several years and had even been part of the Special Protection Group, making it extremely difficult to overpower him. That's why he began considering a method that would leave his father with no chance to defend himself. It was then that he remembered his father had an army-issued knife, which was razor-sharp. He decided that when Rajesh Kumar was in deep sleep, He would strike his throat with such force that he wouldn't even have the chance to struggle. When the opportunity arose on December 3rd, Arjun quietly went into his father's room, took the army knife and hid it in his own room. After that, he waited for nightfall and for the entire day to pass. As soon as the sun began to set, Arjun's mother, Komal, started preparing dinner. Around 9 p.m. they all had dinner, and by 10 p.m. everyone had gone to their respective rooms to sleep. Since Rajesh Kumar had served in the army, Arjun knew that his parents and sister usually slept early. Arjun and his sister Kavita's room were on the ground floor of their house, while their parents slept in a room on the first floor. That night, Rajesh Kumar, his wife Komal, and their daughter Kavita fell asleep early. But Arjun didn't get a wink of sleep. By this time, he had also planned how to kill his parents and escape the police. Like most killers, he believed he would never be caught. But then, while lying in bed, a thought suddenly struck him. Once his parents were dead, their entire property and wealth would be divided between him and his sister. In other words, even after killing his parents, his sister Kavita would still inherit half of their estate. That's when Arjun decided that if he killed his sister as well, he would become the sole heir to everything. Driven by greed, Arjun now resolved to kill his sister first, as she was sleeping on the ground floor. Around 3:50 a.m. on December 4th, when everyone was in deep sleep, he silently took the army knife and crept into his sister's room. Kavita was sound asleep, and taking full advantage of the moment, he slit her throat with the knife. He then stood there for a few minutes, and once he was certain she was dead, he left the room. Quietly, without making a sound, he climbed the stairs toward his parents' bedroom. But as soon as he opened the door, he saw that only his father was sleeping on the bed. But when Arjun paid attention, he noticed that the bathroom light was on, and seeing this, he realized that his mother was inside. Arjun took advantage of the moment and quickly tiptoed to his father, who was sleeping on the bed. Then he took his father's army knife and slashed it across his father's throat with force. The attack was so lethal that Rajesh Kumar didn't even get a chance to struggle. Within seconds, he took his last breath. By now, Arjun had already committed 2 murders, and the last one remaining was his mother. So he stood quietly outside the bathroom door, waiting for her to come out. A few seconds later, as soon as his mother stepped out, he swiftly slashed her throat with the knife he was holding. Now, Arjun had killed all 3 members of his family. However, out of fear, he checked his parents' and sister's pulse and heartbeat again. Once he was certain that they were all dead, he went to his room and waited for the morning. At 5:30 a.m., he put his blood-stained clothes in his gym bag and left the house. A short distance from their home, there was a small river. Under the pretense of a morning walk, Arjun went there and threw his clothes into the bushes. Then he headed straight to the gym and spent about 40 to 50 minutes there. At 6:45 a.m., he returned home and put on an act of screaming and crying. But in the end, Arjun was caught within 24 hours of murdering his 3 family members. Since this case is recent, there are no updates on the internet regarding the killer's sentencing yet. The trial is probably still ongoing, but if there are any updates in the future, we will definitely share them in a community post on the David True Crime channel. Lastly, I just want to say that no parent discriminates between their children. Sometimes certain children may receive more affection, but that does not mean parents love their other children any less. The real question is, how can a mother who carries her child in her womb for 9 months, enduring all kinds of pain, ever discriminate against them? And how can a father who holds his child's hand to help them walk and takes full responsibility for the family ever show favoritism? In the end, what are your thoughts on the twisted mentality of this family killer, Arjun? Let us know in the comments. So with that, the Delhi triple murder case comes to an end right here. If you appreciate our efforts, like and share this video. If you haven't subscribed, do so now. Thank you.